Finally tonight, here the grandson who always knew his grandfather loved that truck out in the yard. Tonight in Lebanon, Missouri, north of Springfield, an incredible surprise for a grandfather. He did not see this coming. As a young man, Richard Kincherlow bought a 1954 International Harvester along with his mother. They cherished the truck together, driving it for decades. Eventually, it broke down, but Richard, now a grandfather, would still keep it in his yard. His grandson Blake, there as a boy, would play in that broken down truck. Tonight, more than 40 years after his grandfather was able to drive that truck, his grandson with an idea. Secretly taking the truck to a local auto body shop, C&J's Classic and Muscle Cars. Slowly, carefully repairing it.
There was no bumper, there was no signal lights, there was no a lot of electrical going on.
This is the spot where the truck was parked for decades.
Well, there's a square of brown right here. This is where the truck sat for a long time.
And when it was time, Blake and his father Brian went to pick up the truck.
There's the brake lights that didn't exist.
Father and son driving it back home, a thumbs up. Grandpa Richard outside, but he didn't know what was turning the corner.
Papa, what is that over there? Look.
That is crazy.
Wiping away tears.
Water pump, bring a water pump.
This truck isn't just a truck. It's an emotional deal for him for sure.
A test drive. Grandpa behind the wheel, driving his truck after more than 40 years.
You never thought you'd see this run again, did you?
No.
Let alone drive down the road.
I didn't think I'd ever live to see this.
President Biden handing out another student loan bailout, this time worth nearly $7.7 billion.
Altogether, Biden has canceled nearly $170 billion in student loan debt amid slipping support from young voters. But our next guest warns this move will only hand the presidency, in fact, to Donald Trump.
New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu joins us now. Governor, I know that you're not a fan of this policy by the Biden administration, but more importantly, you say the voters aren't either.
Well, yeah, I don't know who came up with the policy. It's unfair and terrible in itself. But from a political standpoint alone, it's an absolute disaster because, you know, think of it this way. There's no young person who might have been voting for Trump who says, oh, they're canceling my debt. I guess I'll vote for Biden now. No, that's not happening at all. So he's catering to a base that was probably already with him and at the same time ticking off a lot of hard-working American families, a lot of Democrat families, union member families that work very hard and see the inherent unfairness to the whole thing. So bad policy, bad political idea. I don't know what they're thinking over there, but they are. This in its core, right? If you look at the border is open border is a terrible policy with the drugs and the sex trafficking and all that. But at its core, it's unfair. Right? So it's one thing to know that your government isn't doing a great job. It's another thing when the president rubs it in your face in the unfairness. And the last point here, nobody thinks any debt is being canceled. Right? Debt doesn't get canceled. It doesn't magically disappear. Right? It gets transferred to you. You have to pay it. We have to pay it. Other families have to pay it. So all he's doing is arbitrarily moving debt from one group to another, thinking it's going to help them. But at its core, it's going to really backfire. You're seeing it in the numbers. If this was such a good idea, why aren't your poll numbers going up, Mr. President? It's not working. So, I just wish that they would kind of get back to basics, focus on the country, and just start listening to families who just want to be treated right.
So you said that 26-year-olds are running the White House or probably came up with these policies, these advisors to Joe Biden. I probably can't disagree with you. I think it's probably those advisors as well as maybe Barack Obama in his mansion down the street in Colorado, D.C. That's probably happening. But now Donald Trump has a very different message. And I know you and Donald Trump haven't, always seen eye to eye. Where are you with Donald Trump right now?
I haven't spoken to him in a bit. Obviously, he's going through the trials. He's going through the campaign. His poll numbers are great. Everybody, as we kind of predicted, everyone's coming on board over time. And that's important because even those that kind of say, well, I don't love the guy or the reality of the Biden administration, the reality of these bad policies is driving people away. I've always said that, I never thought Donald Trump was our best candidate, not even close. But at the end of the day, this is how drastically bad Joe Biden is at being president, is that right, at this pace, Trump's going to win this thing. And that's the culture change people want to see. People are saying, look, if anything, give us change. Give us something that we can kind of hope towards instead of this un-American stuff that we're seeing come out of the White House right now.
So you're on the Trump train right now, by default.
Is there a train?
He's the caboose.
Look, I'm voting for the guy. I think a lot of folks are voting for the guy. And I always say, elections are about choices, right? Yeah. When you go in the voting booth, you don't sit there and have a debate with anybody. Yeah. If you're 51-49 for that guy, that's who you're voting for. And it's A or B, guys. That's it. And there's a lot of folks that are going to go in that direction.
Yeah.
All right. Governor Sununu, thanks for being with us this morning.
Thanks, Governor.
Thank you, Governor.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
Now to the race for the White House. Former President Donald Trump tonight doubling down on his false claims that President Biden authorized the use of deadly force against him during the FBI raid of Mar-a-Lago last year. Special counsel Jack Smith seeking a gag order to stop Trump from making the statements, saying they pose a risk to law enforcement. Here's ABC's Mary Alice Parks.
Tonight, just hours after special counsel Jack Smith asked for a gag order on the former president, Donald Trump again pushing serious disinformation on Truth Social. The Justice Department calling Trump's words dangerous. Trump today posting this false claim that Biden's DOJ authorized use of deadly force against him in the FBI raid. The statement untrue. In fact, the FBI's procedures, included in a newly unsealed court filing, say law enforcement cannot engage in using deadly force unless there is a, quote, reasonable belief an officer is in immediate danger, and are standard for all search warrants. Attorney General Merrick Garland underscoring the language was nothing out of the ordinary, and actually about restricting the use of force.
The FBI advises it is part of the standard operations plan for searches. And in fact, it was even used in the consensual search of President Biden's home.
Smith arguing before the judge this weekend that Trump's false statements pose a threat to law enforcement. Trump tonight expected to make his pitch to voters attending the Libertarian Party's national convention. But he could be in for a rude awakening.
Do we reject Donald Trump and everything he stands for?
Attendees here who pride themselves on pushing a limited government, telling me they don't see Trump as a libertarian, but a Republican rival.
There hasn't been a single internal libertarian who's been happy about the Trump speech.
Independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. at the convention yesterday, bashing Trump for COVID lockdowns.
Mary Alice Parks joins us from the Libertarian National Convention. So, Mary Alice, what are officials there saying about why Trump was invited?
Yeah, it's interesting, Whit, because the Libertarian Party will nominate their own candidate for president, but the party chair said she welcomed the debate.
New York City's blue. Brooklyn is blue, Queens is blue, the Bronx is blue, and he's got nowhere to go. He's broke, busing people in order to get those donations so that he can funnel them to his legal fees is kind of his business right now.
So Trump was busing people into the Bronx. That's what AOC told us. Well, she probably didn't expect to get fact-checked from none other than CNN.
Certainly a bigger crowd than I think Democrats would like to see, particularly given this is one of the bluest counties in the entire country. I've gone to a lot of these rallies across the country, and there are often people who travel hundreds of miles to see Donald Trump, and they're not necessarily part of the community. However, one of the things that I found was that there were a lot of people here that were actually from the Bronx.
That was a little hard to hear her. The YMCA music was admittedly loud. Maybe we'd rather listen to that than the CNN reporter. But she said, no, there were Bronx residents there. There were thousands.
Have it your way. This summer, Burger King will let you have it for less, announcing its new $5 value meal. So what's on the menu? It'll include one of 3 sandwiches, nuggets, fries, and a drink. The offer rolling out after news McDonald's has plans for its own $5 limited time deal.
I mean, this is
absolutely expected from Burger King. It's kind of aggressive because they're going to start it earlier and they're going to keep it longer.
It's all part of the ongoing fast food fight for your dollars.
Why is it so expensive?
After industry-wide prices jumped nearly 28% from 2019 to 2023, outpacing overall inflation.
It's getting out of hand.
The promotional deal is a drastic effort to get diners through the door.
So how low will the burger wars go? Well, at participating Wendy's, starting on Tuesday and lasting for 6 days, you'll be able to buy a burger for just a penny with any purchase. All you have to do is register on the app or website.
Analysts are pointing to increased packaging and labor costs for the price hikes. But the sticker shock is now causing many customers to pull back.
We've seen traffic pretty broadly at fast food restaurants in particular really coming down this year. They need to devote some of their marketing attention to value, to tell the customer, we hear you, we are doing something about it. Here's a $5 meal deal.
And it's not just fast food franchises scrambling to address the pain that years of inflation have inflicted on customers' pocketbooks. Earlier this week, Target announced it's slashing prices on about 5,000 food, beverage, and other essential items, while Walmart introduced a new premium grocery brand. With most